So as part of the key things to know about your sonar is the shape of the transducer cone that's going out. And when we talk about a cone, when we're talking about 2D sonar, give us a description of the cone.
I think the best description is an upside down ice cream cone.
Upside down ice cream, okay, fair enough.
Right?
I didn't see that coming. I think it must be getting lunchtime. Dano loves him some ice cream. No, basically the point is being this, is it's round all the way down. What part of it is showing up for you? What are most people actually seeing on there? What's it actually hitting?
Anything that's inside of that shape of that cone is what's going to display.
Okay.
And it'll be the distance from the top to wherever it is. And like you've been talking about the hypotenuse, right? So if it's off to the side of the cone, it's going to show up deeper than if it's in the middle of the cone because of that angle.
Transducer's going to think it's farther away.
Right.
As we go across this right here, I'm going to show you a giant fish, and you're going to want to drop your jig on it right away. And what's going to happen is I'm going to come get your jig when the water goes down because it's going to be snagged really quickly. So I'm going to go in a straight line as we go across here, and you're going to see a big giant arch. Why do we see arches, Dan, quickly?
The reason we see arches is because of things that are further away on the hypotenuse. When you first hit an object with the edge of your transducer, it's further away than when you go right over the top of it and it's closer, and then as you go away, it's further away again, so you get this arch.
So you get the classic fish arch that you see because as he comes into the screen, he's farther away. As he gets directly under the boat, he's closer. As he goes farther away, then he's gone again. As we move along, we're seeing all this bait, guys. You can see here, so far I have not seen any sport fish that really jump out at me. And somebody's gonna say, well, how do you know you're not seeing sport fish? Well, I'm not seeing any dense returns. I'm not seeing anything that's returning any serious color to me, which is telling me I'm seeing 2 different kinds of bait fish, maybe even 3, for sure a lot of shad. Now look at this big giant fish, Dano. There's a giant fish right there. Who knew? Look at the size of this arch right here. Holy, look at that fish, Dan. We got a drop on that one right there with the jig and spoon. Now ironically, is you might catch one here. What this is, guys, is a cable that's running from the end of one of these docks and goes over to that big rock right there and holds this dock, okay? I'm gonna stop the sonar screen right here, stop sonar, and come back to here. There's 2 fish sitting above it. You see the 2 fish above the cable, but this big arch right here and this perfect arch you see right here that the textbook would tell you to fish for, that's a cable. And your unit picked it up as you start to come by, it sees the cable, but it's so dense it reads it from a long ways away. As soon as it's in the cone, you get the arch when you go right over the cable and down it goes. Here you get a much better picture of what the actual cable looks like. The cable's actually, it's big belly in it as it hangs over to the bottom. But in this case, there are fish hanging around that cable as well. No shocker, fish will hang around just about anything in the water column. So you got bait fish under the cable, you got shad around the cable, you got sport fish above it, and those are probably smallmouth sitting right on top of that cable.
Probably are. And the one thing to notice is if you look at the shape of this arch, that's actually the exact shape of your cone.
Yeah, sure, that makes sense because the cable's perfectly straight line. Sure, so yeah, there's your upside down ice cream cone. You got a big old ice cream cone down.
Yes, sir.
So that's a key thing as well, guys. And this is one other good thing about this, is a classic example, and Dan mentioned this earlier, is that by having both downscan or traditional sonar and downscan, you'll learn more about what your traditional sonar is showing you, without a doubt about that. And let's unstop these and get them both rolling again. Look at all the bait right here, Dan. Now guys, you see texture in here. You can see that's all the rough rock on the edges of that. And all these are shad. These are little pockets of shad all over out here. We go by that same cable again on our way by, you'll see the same exact image again as you go back over that cable. So it is a little deceiving as to what you see. These vertical ones are chains. Every time we go by a chain, we pick one of those up. And again, these are reading from different transducers. So as we're crossing various terrain, they're reading from different height in the water column. So we may have some fish down in here. But there's a cable right there. Classic cable right there coming off the end of that dock right there and going across over to there. And you can actually see the cable on that rock right there. And all they're doing is holding this merino right here. Another cable coming on the screen here.
Yeah, they're such hard objects that they do get picked up a long ways away.
Yeah, really long ways away. And again, you see fish hanging around. You can see the fish above that cable right there. There's fish hanging around them. Notice that cable was dense enough to give you a yellow return right there as well. So obviously it's dense. It's a steel cable, guys. Right. So that's going to tell you right there. But I can tell you as a guide, I've brought a lot of people over here and told them to drop on that. That's a sport fish in the bait. Would you agree?
Yes.
See them right here, guys? Same fish. You notice there's some color in the middle of them. That's a bait fish, and that's a fish that's running right with them. And if you notice, we're seeing fish reveal on this side as well. You can see the enhanced mark right over the top of that fish. That's part of Lawrence's fish reveal package, and it just makes those fish show up. These, I would be willing to bet you, these little pockets of fish right here, if I make this my screen, I zoom in, these pockets of fish down here, I would be willing to bet you are crappies, bluegills, something like that. Another cable on the graph here as we come over each of these, and obviously this one's picking up with more sensitivity than that one is with the shape of the cone. And again, your fish reveal will show it off a little bit as well. So you're getting a little bit of confusion in the graph right there because it's not meant for reading cables.
Right, but you're getting about half of a cable right here on this side and not on this side.
Yeah.
So it just picked it up on one side of the cone rather than the whole cone.
We just skated by it, yeah. And again, there's a couple of fish that fish reveal spotted right underneath those shad right there. You can see there's two fish and fish reveal's highlighting them. As you can see, there's little kind of orange highlights over the top of them. That's what each of those are. Those are denser than the bait fish that are with them, and it's determining. Same with these right here. Those are all fish sitting off the bottom. Those are probably smallmouth actually, sitting that tight to the bottom, but not on the bottom. I would be willing to bet those are smallmouth. Now, assuming we got a 45-degree slope, for me to really read that slope, what's the direction of travel to get the best picture?
If you're trying to pick up fish on that slope, the best thing to do is go up and down because you'll pick up stuff that's on the edge of the cone. If you want to get a nice, a good picture of it, you can follow the contour line around. It just depends on what you're looking for.
Right, but if I want to know how steep that is, I need to go at it, not parallel with it, right? No matter what I do, I've got to.
That's right.
Yeah, I've got to go straight at it. So for me to read this boat ramp, now watch this, guys. Let me show you this one right here. And now you can see where the boat ramp is, okay? So I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. I'll get us over here. You can see the boat ramp in front of the boat, okay? This is not rocket science. I wanna show you how clear of imagery you will get when we go onto the boat ramp. We're gonna run over the dock here according to my boat, so we don't want to get off the dock. That's quite the screen you've come up with there, Dano. And we'll go straight at this concrete ramp. And as we pull onto the bottom of the ramp, you'll see a difference in density right here. It's going to get real dense, and we're about the bottom of the ramp, somewhere in here. And it should be, there's where you lost the fuzzy bottom. See that? See how you had this little bit of a blue line on the gravel, and now you don't? Now you're running up on the concrete of the ramp. And you can see, guys, we're driving straight up the boat ramp at this point. If I can get the boater to turn, we will. I'm not used to driving with remote control, guys. I'm old school. But as we go right up the ramp, you can see that the bottom's dense. You can see that there's, assorted amount of fish sitting all right on the boat ramp itself.